I guess it would be Scarlet Begonias by the Grateful Dead. Um, I thought it was a great version of love, like the expression of love. It also has my favorite lyric in a song, which is once in a while you get shown the light in the strangest places when you look at it right. Definitely, it has changed. It's a kind of like the difference of resonating of how you feel and how you want to feel. And sometimes when you listen to music, it's how you used to feel, not how you feel now, and that changes the way you feel about the music. So the music changes as you change the way you feel and how you connect with the music. That's how it changes for me. Yeah, I kind of thought people were just, yeah, they're. I remember when I was younger, I just thought, oh, you're old, you're out of the matrix or something, you know. And then I thought to myself, I never really thought of myself getting old. And then as I got old, like as I got older, I didn't think I was going to make it to being very old. I was very careless and not very good, like with my physical self, not taking care of myself. And I thought, I'm not going to, I'm not going to make it that old. So it doesn't matter anyway. And then I guess something clicked, and now it's been like, enjoying getting older, instead of dreading it or avoiding it. I guess of the future. Um, I used to have a fear of the future all the time, or what I didn't know was going to happen, and I've kind of lost that fear. I'm actually more open to what's going to happen, and I've kind of, you know, put myself in a place where I'm looking forward to what happens next most of the time. So it's a fear that's now become like more of a something that I enjoy. Um, I think I think it would be about the loss of control. People think as they get older, they have loss of control about their health and about getting older, and that there's nothing they can do about it, and sort of like succumb to it, which in some ways it is true, but I think we have more control than a lot of people believe. Like with our focus and our awareness and our maintenance and our activities, getting old doesn't have to be what a lot of people believe is just degrading. Say what I was like as a child would have been like sort of like maybe hot-headed, unfocused, and very high energy, um, and that was not sustainable. So learning after a while to calm my energy down, be more focused on what I want to have focused, seeing what the power of my focus does, has completely changed that for sure. So when I was younger, I was like missing everything around me, not focused, not aware. Probably the first thing to come to mind is take care of yourself. Take care of yourself and how you feel and how you feel and your physical body, because there's a lot of great things that come from that as you get older. If you did take care of yourself, or you find yourself working a little harder to maintain. So I'd probably, yeah, that's what I'd tell my 25-year-old self, and not to worry. Yeah, it's part of the what I like about the music I do, because it's an acoustic sort of jazz one-man band, multi-instrumental. It all ages likes it, like from kids to older people. So I find there's a full interaction of all ages with the style of music that I'm playing. I think it depends on the genre and the style. It would make a difference there, because before I was playing rock, like hard rock, heavy funk, and there was only a certain type of people. It seemed like certain, I mean, people of all variables, but age groups were similar. Whereas now I'm doing sort of a fine dining acoustic renditions of all kind of different styles of music. So it's different. So I think it just depends on what you're playing, for sure. I guess being, strong physically is a big one that comes to mind first. And I think sex too is a big one. I think men have a harder time, like, I guess, keeping up the expectations of a younger male as opposed to an older male. I think that would be a big difference too. I'm not sure. Kind of feel like I'm living the dream right now. So me is just maintaining the dream that I'm in. I might have short-term goals to have better things or do things that I like. That's more like, but chasing that dream has become now sort of like living that dream. Or I think I would. I don't think I'd want to open that can of worms. I think I'm pretty happy at the age I am right now. I don't know what being younger or being older would bring in this world right now. I don't know what that would do. Well, that's about half and half, I think. Sometimes I see me, and sometimes I see my age. It also depends, I think, how I look at in the mirror too. It's a big one because there's like you look into yourself or you look at yourself would be the difference, I guess. So a little bit of both. When I met a legendary musician who I was like just blown away by the musicianship, told me that they thought my musicianship was amazing, and so that was like a huge validation for me, and it actually opened up my confidence connected to all the things I do now musically. So usually before I used to be like, oh, can I do that? I'm like, well, of course I can do that. That person said I can pretty well do anything. So that was a very integral part of how I've been since that time when that happened. I think there's always the fear of not knowing what's going on, as opposed to, but as you do get older, you do realize that the fear of not knowing what's going on is not real. So it's hard to say. I think more of the fear would come from like maybe losing some physical aspects, which I really rely on a daily basis. So just losing some of my tools would be the only fear about getting older and maybe getting into some kind of health condition that I have a hard time dealing with or healing through. I think that's about the closest it would get to me for fear. As for dying, to me, I'm still trying to figure out what all that means, but I feel like it's not something I should be afraid of. So it feels like something I should be afraid of, which is nice. As I learn to understand my feelings better, that helps me with everything. So I feel like there's a dislocation. So there's like almost like a veil between some of the younger generations and myself for sure. But I always find conversation interesting, and I'm always open to connecting with younger people just to see what they're saying and how they're looking at things. And I do have a feeling about how tough it can be to be younger these days. So I kind of relate to that, I think, a bit. Well, I think there's definitely a benefit to, all ages communicating with each other for sure, because everybody has that different perception at different ages. I believe that people older might even have more perception to offer, but I also sometimes that could be the other way around too, where older people are set in their ways and they do not communicate very well to people they don't understand. So it's kind of a hit and miss, but I don't have a problem with younger people. Sometimes I feel it's a little bit much of the lack of focus and carelessness, but I also know there's nothing really we can do about that. So I don't look at it as like a bad thing. It's just a process. A lot of people don't look at aging as kind of like an art. Like it is like an art. Like it's like everything else. As an artist, I feel like everything in my life is about art, and it's the art perception of it is very healthy. I think so. I think the perception of people talking about aging and how they feel about aging is really important for people to read and listen to, get in tune with, because it's something that they're going to be, feeling sooner or later too. So I think this is a great way to capture the way people feel about getting older, and it helps with people who are curious and want to know more before it's their time to feel that way. So I think it's a great informative project. That's why I wanted to be part of it. So.